Good morning. First and foremost, I just want to thank all of you for being here this morning. Members of the media, as a former PIO, I truly appreciate your support during the past 8 days, the support that you provided through your messages to the California Highway Patrol and to the Camilleri family. I'd like to start by publicly thanking our allied agency counterparts, our first responders that assisted us on the night of the collision. Hayward Police Department, our Alameda County Sheriff's Department, City of Hayward Fire Department, the California Association of Highway Patrolmen, and the 1199 Foundation for the unwavering support to the men and women of the California Highway Patrol. As you're aware, on December 24th, Officer Andrew Camilleri was tragically killed, and his partner Jonathan Velasquez was injured when they were rear-ended by a driver who chose to drive while under the influence of alcohol and with marijuana in his system. Today, that driver, Mr. Mohammed Abrar Ali, a 22-year-old resident from the city of Hayward, was arrested by members of the California Highway Patrol and was formally charged by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Our investigators, including our multidisciplinary accident investigation team, our Special Investigations Unit, along with our allied agency partners, and with great support from Nancy O'Malley's office from the District Attorney's Office, charged the case today. In addition to the felony charge of murder that Ms. O'Malley will talk about, several and multiple other charges were also filed. Once again, I'd like to publicly thank District Attorney Nancy O'Malley and her staff for the countless hours that they've worked for the past 8 days in order to bring this case to the charges that were filed today. The message is clear. Nancy is sending that message today, and so is the California Highway Patrol. Drinking and driving is socially unacceptable. Smoking marijuana and driving is as unacceptable. I'd now like to introduce Alameda County District Attorney's Office, Ms. Nancy O'Malley.
Good morning. As the commander has said, this morning my office filed a criminal complaint against Muhammad Ali, alleging a violation of Penal Code Section 187, second-degree murder. This is commonly referred to as Watson murder, which was established in 1981 by the California Supreme Court for the charges for the death of the CHP officer Andrew Camilleri. The complaint also alleges 3 additional charges of Vehicle Code Violation 23-153, which is driving under the influence which proximately causes bodily injury to another person other than the driver. Count 2 alleges the defendant was driving under the influence of alcohol, and his actions caused the injuries suffered by CHP officer Jonathan Velasquez, the partner of Officer Camilleri. Count 3 alleges that the defendant was driving with a blood alcohol of 0.08 or above, and his actions caused the injuries to Officer Velasquez. Count 4 alleges driving under the influence of a combination of drugs and alcohol, and his actions caused the injuries suffered by Officer Velasquez. Count 5 alleges a Vehicle Code violation of Section 22-348B, which is driving on a highway at speeds greater than 100 miles per hour. Counts 2, 3, and 4, those counts involving the injuries caused Officer Velasquez, also allege an enhancement of great bodily injury that was inflicted on Officer Velasquez. We extend our very deep sympathies to the family of Officer Camilleri, to his friends, and to his CHP family. We also hope for a speedy and full recovery of Officer Velasquez. As with all victims of crime and those who have lost a family member because of crime, the Victim Witness Division of my office will provide services to the family of Officer Camilleri, as well as Officer Vasquez, and we will provide support, resources, and assistance as they need and as we can. Let me just take a moment to say that this holiday season, since Thanksgiving, we have seen 6 tragic deaths at the hands of individuals who are driving or alleged to be driving under the influence of a substance, either alcohol or drugs or a combination of both. The loss of life that is avoidable, that loss of life is avoidable if every driver acts responsibly and lawfully. Over the holidays, hundreds of arrests were also made for driving under the influence in Alameda County. When will we say enough is enough and finally reach a point where every single driver on the road realizes that he or she cannot and must not drink, smoke, take drugs, and get behind the wheel of a car? To our community, if you are going to drink, smoke, or take drugs that affect your ability to drive, arrange for a designated driver or call for a ride. Be smart before it's too late. Copies of the criminal complaint and the probable cause declaration are going to be available to you. I believe they are now. And as for the facts of the case, I won't elaborate any further, as the media knows that we're very careful about trying our case in the courtroom and not in the media. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you again for being here. Next, we'll have a couple moments for some brief questions. Let's do it in an organized fashion. Ma'am, please state your question and who you'd like to answer it, please.
Okay, District Attorney O'Malley, can you just explain the reasoning behind a second-degree murder charge versus a vehicular manslaughter?
Sure. What the Supreme Court has declared is that second-degree murder is implied malice or express malice. And implied malice is determined by the facts of every case, of each case. But essentially what it requires is that the malice be, or that the act be done intentionally, has a natural and probable consequence that are dangerous to human life, is known by the defendant at the time he or she acted to be dangerous to human life, and is deliberately done with conscious disregard for human life. So there's for a vehicular manslaughter, it's required gross negligence, and specifically, I want to be really clear, what the prosecution needs to prove is that the person acted in a way that a reasonable person would know was dangerous. That's for a vehicular manslaughter. But for a Watson murder, the prosecution must prove that the individual was aware of the extreme danger that drinking and driving poses to others, and that the person made the choice to disregard that danger. So those are the two, essentially, the mental states that need to be proved for either one of those.
Next question. Yes, ma'am.
Leslie Brinkley with ABC 7 News. Perhaps the commander could give us some more information about the suspect, his condition right now, when and how he was charged, and again, maybe a bit more about his name, if there's a photo available, whatever you can tell us.
Mr. Ali was charged in absentia. He's still under the care of a medical facility within the Bay Area. We're anticipating a release anytime within today in the next 48 hours. I still like to respect his privacy. He's still under the care of a medical facility versus the Santa Rita jail, which is where his next trip will be to as soon as he is released from medical care. So in regards to a picture, when you book in absentia, that's not available just yet. But when we transfer him to Santa Rita, you'll see a picture from Alameda County Sheriff's Department.
Are you able to spell maybe his name and his age and just, some more details?
Absolutely. His first name is Mohammed, Mohammed, and his last name is Ali, Ali. He's
What was his middle name?
Abrar, Abraar. AAR.
But you're referring to him as Muhammad Ali?
That's correct. That's how his driver's license shows that, Muhammad Ali.
He's 22 years old. Was he working? Where did he live? Just-
You know, I don't have all those details. I can tell you he lived in the city of Hayward, and he was driving a pretty nice Cadillac. So I hate to make assumptions, but I'm going to say he was employed, correct.
Jody Hernandez with NBC Bay Area. Could you tell us more about, I know he's been charged, and I don't know, maybe Nancy can elaborate, with being under the influence of alcohol and drugs. What, was it marijuana? Can you give us an idea of what he was under the influence of?
The investigators on this case and Nancy O'Malley's staff has reviewed evidence and statements made, and he was under the influence of alcohol, and marijuana was in his system. Yes, ma'am.
Lena Nakano with Fox 40, Sacramento. So obviously he was driving at 100 miles per hour. Do you know what he was doing, where he was going, any of that?
Well, I think I mentioned it the night of the collision, so I'll say it again. He was celebrating Christmas Eve, like many of us do. Unfortunately for him, he chose to drink and drive and smoke and drive. So he was definitely celebrating along with many other people the way they do on Christmas Eve.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have time for one more question.
Sir?
Chief, do you know anything about Mr. Ali? Is he known to law enforcement? Does he have a background with the CHP or local authorities? Or
He has never been arrested by the Highway Patrol before for drinking and driving, no.